Hello, welcome to Sentimental Pastimes. My name is Cheryl. I'm getting ready to start this beautiful cardinal diamond painting from New Craft Day, and I thought maybe we would have a few minutes together to chat, and then I will post my finish. This is a special drill, and it's a partial. I'll show you what it looks like here. There are 14 different colors and shapes. Most of them, I believe, are rhinestones, and there are some different sizes. So I'll just go ahead and get started on this and ask you how your day is going. It is a beautiful, beautiful day here in the mountains. I'm going to start with number one. What I typically do for these is just color complete. I'll do all the number ones and then all the number twos and so forth, and then I'll go back and do all the ones I missed. And so that's the way I typically complete these. And I am inevitably sitting down without a piece of release paper. I don't know why I continue to do that. It's like easy solved problem. But it's a beautiful day outside. It's a little on the warm side. It's 82 out there today. Supposed to be. I don't know. I've got all the windows closed and all the curtains closed. Keeping the door shut so that I'm not fanning the heat. My husband said the other day he was going to have to bring the air conditioners down and go ahead and put them in, and I tend to agree. I told him he could take my little space heater up the road to the other place and store it. So I think I don't think I'm going to be using it much more. Well, anymore. You may hear the fan running, but it's kind of a necessity. It's warm in here. It is a beautiful day. I hope heaven is like spring in the mountains. I really do, because it is just good to be alive. How are you doing? Are you working on something while you visit with me? You can, doesn't have to be diamond painting. You can work on anything you want. I've been watching the birds over there in the neighbor's yard. She puts up feeders, and we both enjoy watching them. There's been a little squirrel who is, the other day, he was actually got his little butt up in the feeder. I don't know how he did that, because it's on just a stake that goes in the ground, but he managed to plop his little butt right up there at that feeder and irritate all the birds. They were all mad at him. They were dive bombing him, trying to get him down, and he wasn't paying no more attention to that than anything. I was telling my neighbor, I said, that squirrel is too cute. So she's got a picnic table over there, and she's got this dish, this like cast iron, I think it was like a cast iron skillet at one time, one of the small ones. She fills it full of seed, and yesterday that squirrel was literally sitting in the bowl eating, and the blue jays and doves were trying to figure out how to get him out of there. It was so funny, and I told her, I said, he just cracks me up. She said the other day she was watching, and he was in that bowl, and there was a dove. Now, I used to think blue jays were the meanest birds that there were, because they are bullies. They will you know, push the little sparrows, and they'll chase them, and they'll make them leave the food. You know, they're not they're very competitive, you know, for the food. I used to think they were the meanest, but that was before I saw these doves and how they act. And there's lots and lots of doves over there, big old fat doves. The doves are actually bigger bullies than the blue jays. They run the blue jays off, and I never knew that they were like that. But she was saying that there was this dove who wanted that squirrel out of that dish, and she said that it was sitting on the table next to the dish, you know, next to the squirrel, and it was puffed up, and the squirrel was puffed up, and they were both trying to intimidate each other out of that, you know, to see who would win possession of that bowl. And she said she watched and watched, and she thought it was so funny. The squirrel's not a full-grown squirrel. It must be this year's litter, because he's like a teenager size. And so he's not that, like, it, you know, he's really huge. And she said he got twice the size when he puffed up, you know. I can imagine. She said that the dove won the battle. Can you believe that? A dove run a squirrel out of a seed dish. I could not. I was like, are you kidding me? So that was, I'd like to have seen that. I bet that was hysterical. But, you know, like I said, that was a few days ago, she said, and he was back over there yesterday, so he's not missing a meal. Little fat thing. And the doves are really, really fat. I've learned a lot about doves since I've lived here, because they mate for life. They pair up and mate for life, and I just think that's beautiful. When we first moved here, I hadn't been here very long, and one of the doves was hit by a car, because they're big and fat, and they can't move very quickly. You know, they've got a lot of girth to drag around. But one of them got hit by a car, and its mate just sat there on that fence and just pined and pined. I don't know what eventually happened with, you know, I don't know if it was the male or the female that got hit, but its little mate was just, you could just tell it was upset. And I thought that was so sad. It's just, you know, sweet how God's creatures are built, you know, with their instincts and what they do. I was reading up on the ducks, you know, the ducks. I complain about them every year because where I live, there's a creek, a road, and then my house. So literally just across the road, that's a little 2-lane road, is the creek. And the ducks will come up out of the creek and go into my neighbor's yard, because she does feed, you know, she's got feeders out there. And they'll cross the road to get to those feeders. And it just makes me a nervous wreck every year, because, you know, a drake got hit one year and the female was on the nest. And well, she got hit too, but she survived. She just got kind of stoved up, but he didn't. And ever since then, I've been a nervous wreck, you know, them crossing that road. But I was curious about how they pair up, because they do not, they just mate for the season. They don't mate for life. And apparently, these are mallards. Apparently, the drake, the female will choose which drake she wants to pair up with. And she looks for how pretty his plumage is, how you know, how his little mating dance and his calls and all of that, you know, he has to woo her. And I think that's hysterical. If she doesn't choose a mate within, I guess, a reasonable length of time, the other drakes will gang up on her, you know, and they've been known to kill hens, you know, because instinctually they have to mate, you know. And that was not a pleasant thought, but they will. But once she chooses a mate, he commits himself to her. I mean, I watch them over here at the feeders, and he will literally stand guard while she eats. She eats first, he doesn't eat, and he watches constantly to make sure that there's no threats around her. And, you know, he'll sneak a bite every now and then, but his job is to, you know, watch out for her. And wherever she goes, I mean, she'll waddle off and he'll just waddle right behind her. She calls the shots. Wherever she goes, he goes. And he just follows along like a little puppy dog. It's so funny to watch, you know. But he protects her, and he watches out for her until she lays eggs. And once she lays eggs, he leaves. The hatching is her responsibility. Once she's on the nest, it's her responsibility to raise the ducklings. So he just takes off. He goes and finds some place where he's comfortable, that there's enough food, and then he molts for the season. It's like, that makes perfect sense, you know. But yeah, he leaves her to do all the, you know, all the work. Okay, I've protected you and I've ensured the survival of our species, and my job's done, so I'm out of here. And then they find new mates the next spring. Well, the next fall, actually. They mate up in the fall, and then they'll, you know, mate in the spring. And a lot of the ducklings don't survive. There are big creek rats here, and snakes, and other, you know, predators that if she doesn't get them in the water quickly enough, you know, which is sad because, you know, there'll be a hen out there with 6 or 8 babies, and then the next time you see them, there may be 3 or 4 left, and then, you know, it's and inevitably she brings them all when they're big enough across the road, you know, to get to that. She shows them where those feeders are, so that the next year when they're ready to carry on the lineage, they'll know where to go to get easy food. But, you know, I mean, the neighbor wants to feed the birds, and she can't help, you know. We just both hold our breath, because the road out here is it's a long straight stretch, and people think that long straight stretch equals let's drive as fast as we can possibly drive, and that's just the way it goes. But yeah, the wildlife has just been typical for the year. I did see a different bird at the feeders last week. I'll show you a picture. I saw 2 of them. There was one she's got a huge pine tree in her yard. Huge. The thing is probably 100 years old. And the feeders are on the opposite side of the yard. One of these was in the tree, and the other one was at the feeder, and then they would switch. You know, the other one would go up into the tree, and then the other one, you know, that was in the tree would go down to the feeders. And I watched that whole process for quite a while, and I looked up, you know, what kind of bird it is, and it's a ruby-throated grosbeak. I had never seen that bird before, but you know, in the picture you'll see the ruby on its throat. It looks just like that. I mean, it is just as bright red. I thought it was a cardinal when I first looked out and seen the red, you know, but I hadn't ever seen those birds at the feeder before. They're really, really pretty. We have orioles and chickadees and blackbirds, woodpeckers, blue jays, cardinals, sparrows, of course. Just all kinds of visitors. I can look out my kitchen window and see the feeders, you know, so while I'm washing dishes, because, you know, I don't do a dishwasher. I'm the dishwasher. So when I'm washing dishes, I'll watch them. You know, it's fun. Goodness gracious, it's hot in here. Got the fan in the other room. I didn't want to bring it in here to blow on me while I'm doing this because I didn't want that noise in the background any more than I had to have it. Penny Bella's in there stretched out napping. She does not like heat either. She went out on the porch this morning. It was so cool this morning. Oh, it was wonderful. Had the door open and the fan, you know, pulling the cool air in. And as soon as that sun hit that porch, that was over. That was over. I was like, well, time to shut the door. But she laid out there and just enjoyed it for a long time. You know, barking at everything, and FedEx man came and delivered our wine. We signed up again for the wine club with First Leaf, and they send us 6 bottles a month. We were members before, and I really, really like the wines that they have, so we just decided to sign up again. So we'll have some wine to try for, you know, hot summer nights ahead. And she had to make her feelings known to the FedEx guy when he brought the wine, because well, she got to protect the perimeter. She's not big as nothing, and she thinks she's Cujo. She I guess wore herself out, so she's in there snoozing, laying on her back, all 4 paws up in the air. Little stinker. My husband took her with him up the road the other day, and you know, I've been with him before, and he's had the window down so she can stick her head out the window, and I'm like, you shouldn't, you know, she's going to jump out the window. No, she ain't going. She's got more sense than that. She ain't going to jump out the window. I said, now I'm going to tell you, you know, because I read that dogs don't develop past 2 years old in human years. You know, they're perpetual toddlers. And I told him, I said, I'm mighty afraid that she... No. Well, what did she do? He got behind somebody who was going 10 miles an hour, you know, which always happens around here. You know, somebody, either they're going 90 miles an hour or 2 miles an hour. You know, no happy medium. But he was going really slow, and I guess she thought they were where they were going, you know, already. So she was just going to get a head start. She jumped out of the window. Now we've got a Dodge Ram, which is, I have to get a step stool to get up in it. Okay, I mean it is like way high off the ground. That dog, she's a little terrier, jumped out of the window, not the open door, the window of that truck. And my husband said, I was glad there was nobody behind me because I stopped dead in the middle of the road and jumped out of the truck and, you know, called for her. And she came to him, you know, she was like, she didn't understand what had just happened. You know, somebody pushed her out of the truck. You know, what in the world was that? And so there's nobody behind him, thank goodness. And he was able to get her back in the truck. And so he went on, you know, doing what he was doing. Well, when he brought her home, she laid down the rest of the evening. She didn't move. I mean, she was just, you know, and I could tell she wasn't, there was something wrong. Well, I looked, and she's got a little bit of road rash on one paw, and the other paw, she messed her dew claw up, and she won't let me touch it. I was going to see, it looks like it's just barely hanging there, but I don't know if she ripped it off or not. I can't tell because, you know, I'm afraid she'll nip at me. But I was like, well, you know, I mean, you think you're, you know, Supergirl jumping out of a moving vehicle. I bet she rolled 9 times a Sunday. And my husband said, well, you're not going to have the window down anymore, so you've lost that privilege. And he's took her a couple times out since then, and he says she's mad because she can't stick her head out the window. And I said, well, you know, just think of her as a toddler because she'll do it again. She's not going to learn. But, you know, I mean, she's got a little bit of a place on her elbow, you know, a little raw place, and then, you know, that claw. But it's not slowed her down now. After she rested that evening, she's perfectly normal now. A little stinker. I swear there's something else. My husband felt so bad because I told him, I said, if you get her out and get her, you know, hurt or worse, I said, don't come home. I said, don't come home because you didn't come home. I don't want to see, don't even. And so he jokes, but you know, he tells Penny, he's like, you know, you're going to do something and then I can't even come home because my wife said that I can't come home. Something happens to you. I love that dog. Lord of mercy. We adopted her, I guess, I think it's either 3 or 4 years ago, but it was shortly after we moved here. She was just running up and down the road, and you know, dogs who run up and down this road don't last. They do not last. She was just running up and down the road, and I told my husband, I said, she's going to get hit. And so I made friends with her and let her in the yard and was petting her. And when my husband come home, I said, do you know where she belongs? And he said, yeah, I think she belongs up the road. So he took her up the road, and he got the feeling from talking to them, oh, okay, well, thanks for bringing her home. And then they didn't do anything to secure her, you know, that she was just going to be, she'd just go right back out. She had her route that she went on every morning, you know, to get treats. She had everything down, you know, and she was probably stopping and looking at me thinking, well, this might be a new place to add to my route, you know, every morning. But my husband came back home, and he said, well, I don't think they're going to do anything about it. He said they're just, you know, letting her run around. And I said, go up there and get that dog. Go up there and get that dog and bring her to me. He said, Cheryl, I said, go get that dog. So he went, he went up there and said, so I'd like to take your dog if it's okay. And they were like, well, you know, I don't know. We're pretty attached to her. And Gene was thinking the whole time, like, my husband's name's Gene. He was thinking the whole time, like, yeah, you must be, because, you know, you're letting her run around in the middle of the road, and yeah, you must really care. But he said, they were, you know, him hauled around about it, and he finally said, I'll give you $25 for her. Well, apparently they loved her $25 worth. And here he come with that dog. And he said, I cannot believe that you made me do that. And I said, well, you know, it was either that or, you know, they were going to be scraping her up off the road. And so that's how we got her. She's a lucky dog. We sure do love her. She loves her daddy. Lord have mercy. I mean, she loves me, but not. If she had to choose, she is her daddy's girl. And he gets mad at me. You see what you've done? Now I fell in love with that dog, and I didn't want to. She's his baby. So I've been sitting here putting these silver / clear rhinestones around these dogwoods, and it's looking just beautiful. I know you can't see, well, there, see a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish this up, and it'll probably take me a day or two, because there's quite a bit of drills in that cardinal. So it's going to take a little bit more than an afternoon. But I'm going to finish this up, and then I will be back. It will just be a split second for you, and we'll look at the finish. So here we go. And we're back in the room. I got this finished actually that same evening. This is the next day. And I wanted to show you how it turned out. It is so pretty. So pretty. Let me see if I can maybe get it. Yeah, look how it just sparkles. Look at there. It just shimmers and sparkles. It's so pretty. The dogwoods actually have purple in them. Purple and yellow and that clear. And there's this is light blue, really, really light blue. And then he's got beautiful reds and black, silver, orange. These drills are gorgeous. Look how they're iridescent. They change colors depending on how you look at them. Aren't they pretty? This one is just really, really pretty. The little cardinal is drilled too. He's got sparkle on him as well. So this canvas, like I said, came from New Craft Day. The canvas and the website will be linked below. So if you're interested, go over and see what they have to offer. They have a lot of diamond paintings to choose from. But this is a special drill, 30 by 40. 14 colors, rhinestones, and the yellow, these are buttons. They're kind of iridescent too. I don't know if the camera's going to, yeah, just a little bit. Might pick it up. But yeah, beautiful canvas. So thanks for hanging out with me today, and I appreciate you stopping by. Appreciate it if you would like, subscribe, and come back and see what I'm into. So until I see you again, happy diamond painting.